Well, welcome back to American Sunrise. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that states may limit girls' and women's school sports teams to athletes based on biological sex. In a 6-3 decision, the court upheld laws from West Virginia and Idaho, saying the Constitution does not require states to allow transgender athletes to compete on female teams. The ruling leaves other states free to set their own policies. Let's now bring in the president of Courage is a Habit, Alvin Louie. Alvin, good morning to you.
Good morning. Always happy to be back. How are you guys?
We love having you. Okay, what do you make of all this?
Well, this is great. Obviously, this is a huge legal win. But what I want our parents to know is that when the Supreme Court hands out a decision like this, it's a sword and a shield. They're not in there fighting for your kids. They're not in your school boards. They're not in your superintendent's office. They're not in your field or your swimming deck. You have to take that sword and shield and you have to use it. Because I promise you that there are probably 95% of parents that are going to government K through 12 that have no idea that this decision was even made. And so it's really important that parents use this sword and shield that the Supreme Court just handed to us.
You know, Alvin, I also want to get your thoughts on this. The Tanana Valley State Fair has rejected a booth application from the parental rights groups Moms for Liberty, a group that we work with very regularly here on the network. The decision comes after controversy over the Southern Poverty Law Center's designation of the organization as a, quote, anti-government extremist group. Moms for Liberty denies that label, of course, and calls the fair's decision politically motivated and says it is considering its legal options. This seems absurd to me. What's your take?
Absolutely. Well, for sure it's absurd because the Southern Poverty Law Center, we know what they've been doing. There was not enough racism.
Promoting extremists.
There was 5 white supremacists left.
Yeah.
And of course, they've been funding it, funding the racism because there's not enough of it. So just like, for the Moms for Liberty, what they're doing is they're saying, hey, you shouldn't be putting this kind of stuff in schools. You're breaking it. And just to be very clear, the person that pushed for their denial of their their permit to go into this fair his name is David Leslie. It's in the article, and he is a transgender cultist. He pushes, he fully supports drag queen events for little kids, and so of course he thinks they're a hate group because if just like Courage is a Habit, if you're against grooming children, you're considered a hate group. And so what we say is that we actually lean into that hate. We don't say, no, we're not a hate group. We say, yeah, absolutely, we hate. There's a lot of things to hate. We hate sex trafficking. We hate when you mutilate kids. We hate when you tell kids that their skin color matters. We hate when you push pornography on children. So absolutely, there's a lot of things to hate. And so you have to use their label against them.
Alvin, I want to ask you about a piece you wrote for the Daily Wire. You argue that national counseling standards promote ideological and religious viewpoints without sufficient parental transparency. This has been a long time bandwagon of mine as well. You say that schools need to strengthen parental oversight and review counseling policies. It's no lie. I mean, when we are relying on quote unquote mental health professionals, we need to consider the source because so many of these mental health professionals are so, like I was, indoctrinated for 10 years or more, right? Just to get the degree, used to spitting out what academia wants to hear. And that's the only theory and practice they know. I remember when I went to work right after my first master's degree at a crisis pregnancy center, I said to them, I have to sit and spend time unlearning and deprogramming everything that I was told in school so that I can actually do my job.
You're absolutely right, Dr. Gina, that unschooling yourself is so important in any profession, and if you're just an average American, because there's so many things that have been told to us that are lies. One of the big ones is mental health and therapy is this idol that you have to worship. And in schools, this is most of the money spent in schools is towards mental health. Every state and all 50 states have spent at this point hundreds of millions on mental health. And the organization that leads that manages the training and the model policies for that is the American School Counselor Association. And in that piece that you just featured on the Daily Wire, we discovered that the American School Counselor Association, which is, by the way, manages the model policy in all 50 states in terms of in mental health, they partner with CAIR, the Islamic terrorist organization CAIR. and they use their training material and then their guidance, which is why so many of these schools now are pushing that Sharia law culture. And so parents need to understand, when you hear mental health, you have to ask yourself through whose lens, because it's not through the lens of your grandmother.
Absolutely. Yeah. Alvin, I've seen some video and footage from out west where CAIR or at people affiliated with CAIR have infiltrated school systems, and you have them on the PTA and really taking over what's served in food-wise in some of these schools, what's taught. What can you tell us about that?
They're trying to normalize it for kids so that when they grow up and Sharia law comes in, they won't know the difference. They'll actually vote for it. You're seeing that in New York. You're seeing that in Minnesota. So here's some terms I want parents to look out for: welcoming schools, inclusion, just teaching kids to accept people different than them. Of course, social emotional learning. Those things are fed through the lens of somebody who hates America and who wants to bring this in so that when children see it, they won't know that it's dangerous to them or their families.
Yeah, social justice being one of the scariest words of all, too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Alvin, before we let you go, I know this big landmark SCOTUS decision on protecting women's sports is a big one. It certainly deals with the mental health aspect of things, and certainly mental health of young women who want to be able to compete without having a boy pretending to be a girl be in their dressing room and compete with them on a competitive level. How important was this decision, especially from a mental health aspect?
This was huge. And this is why parents need to be able to take advantage of that. And by the way, so we're making it very easy. Last night, we released a tool right on our website right now. If you go to courageasahabit.org, click on Tool of the Week, and we have a turnkey letter for you to use to send to your school so that you take advantage of this legal win. Because I'll tell you right now, the schools will ignore it. The schools will pretend it didn't exist. The school counselors will say it's oppressive. They'll say it's transphobic and bigot and all those things. And so parents have to have the courage to reject those labels and be able to protect their children. And Courage is a Habit, we immediately provided a tool for you, and we gave you some guidelines on how best to take advantage of this legal win, because it is massive, but it doesn't mean anything if parents, individual parents in all 50 states, take advantage of it. You cannot show up to the school and pretend that they're going to go, well, the Supreme Court says we can't do it, so we're not going to do it. And also prepare for a lot of emotional blackmail. A lot of emotional blackmail. So you have to steel yourself for that, because everything out of their mouth is a lie.
Yeah, I want to say really fast to our viewers, if you want to have some real fun, go on to Alvin's website and buy some gear, because I wear that hat everywhere right there that you have on your head, and people, it's a conversation started like you wouldn't believe. And there's other great gear on there too. Whoever's doing your marketing and coming up with your branding, it is top notch. It is not your standard gear, I'll tell you that much.
Well, I think that goes back to the word courage. If you buy the hat, have the courage to put it on and actually walk somewhere. And maybe it starts a conversation. I love the creativity and the strength. Alvin, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thanks, Alvin.
Thank you, guys. Always a pleasure to see you all. Thank you.
Have a good one.